Welcome to RADII's In Conversations with series, a program where we speak to fascinating individuals who are reshaping and changing culture, lifestyle, and society in and around China today. I am Brian, the founder of RADII, and your host. Today, we're very excited to have with us a very special guest and a friend, Lin Lin. Lin Lin is a designer, anthropologist, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. Today, we're going to explore a number of these topics with her and find out her perspective on how these different areas are intersecting and where she sees the most opportunity for impact through her work. Thank you, Lin Lin.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me here.
So Lin Lin, let's start with your background. Tell me where you were born, where you were raised, and what were some of the influencing factors that led you to live such an interesting life in doing so many different things?
I was born in Guangzhou. I left Guangzhou for London. I worked there briefly, and then I moved to Shanghai from London with my partner, business partner at the time. And then I opened another office in Beijing. And then I went between Beijing and Shanghai. And then I'm still here, sort of really enjoy living in China. So back in London, my partner and I used to doing a lot of music-related graphics and also a lot of parties. I mean, when you are that young, and one of the places we often hang out was on Carnaby Street. There's this record store that we designed called Deal Reel. And that was the early years of Dizzy Rascal, Amy Winehouse, and all of them before they got really big. And we were designing for DMC Championships. So there's a lot of music-related and streetwear-related and art toy-related designs. And then when we moved to Shanghai, we only have a couple friends work on street art galleries. So we partnered in the gallery, had no idea how to run one. And my idea is street art's supposed to be free, so we made no money. And I lost all my savings. So I had to start working to do what we best at, which is design, experience, and products. And because we always love music, so we work with a lot of Beijing rock bands and music festivals, and like back in the day from Modern Sky to PK14. I designed the first Strawberry Festival logo. So
it's been sort of an east-west sort of dynamic, but you have really been focused on things related to aesthetics and design and then sustainability. But where did these sort of interests come from as you were sort of growing up, as you were evolving?
I think that might something to do with my first midlife crisis when I was first midlife crisis when I was 15, 16. I think I start wondering the meaning of existing. I think I would like to sort of reference a 16th century French philosopher, Michel de Montaigne. He had this coat of arms or medallion per se, and there are three symbols that I think it sums up what I'm doing throughout my career. One is a weighing scale, to be aware and weigh the equality of two opposing opinions. I think that's really important. The other one is a Greek word called apohe. Apohe means I hold back, or I reserve my opinions. The last one is in French, his own language, qu'est-ce, which means what do I know? It means you never can be so sure about everything. You should always reserve an opportunity and opening to change. I think that sums up my way of looking at life. The only thing that is constant is changing. There's no absolute right or wrong. It really depends on what time and place and surroundings.
I want to actually touch on a little bit about design and these themes that you integrated into your work, particularly around Chinese heritage, Chinese culture. And this word cool in Chinese sort of culture don't always necessarily go together when people think of the traditional sense, but I think that it's actually changing. And I'd like to ask you how it's changing in terms of the designs that you think are emerging from China today or related to China.
I think there's two things crucial to design with subtlety. And this requires design confidence. Yeah. And the two things I think, one is learning tool. Mm-hmm. Second of all is time. Mm-hmm. Even though we have the fastest, best tools to learn, it still requires time to have that design confidence, that you have seen enough horrifying design of interpretation of Chinese culture to actually give you the confidence to say, I'm going to speak for my culture now. Yeah. I had this Shanghainese rapper came into my office. And I was like, Lin Lin, you're going to Magic, you're showing your collection. I need you to get me this watch. And I was like, what watch? It's like, you know, Bathing Ape was doing this collaboration with Rolex. I was like, I heard you're going to Snoop Dogg's party too. I was like, yeah, but like, what's it to do with that watch? He's like, I really need to get that watch. So we sat down. I was like, but you're a rapper. You tell stories and you rap in Shanghainese. That's what I like about you. Yeah. Why Rolex? Why don't you look at, see if there's something that could find that represents you? Yeah. Shanghai. So we start digging on like Taobao. Yeah. And just like looking at it. And then I found this watch called Shanghai watch. And that was 2008 when I convinced Wieden Kennedy, a really good friend of mine at the time was a creative director. I was like, look, you know, I found this state-owned factory and they don't care about me. Even though I tried to convince them to make this watch, they don't care about me. But I really want to do it. Can you come with me? And you're white. I need some token white guys. Sorry. But I was like, so they would take me seriously. I also look too young. So they come with me. You've got a beard. Don't shave. So when we went there, and there was like the Changzhang, the head of the factory was playing some sort of games on the computer, the desktop computer. I haven't seen one for so long. So I went in a couple of times and trying to convince him to show me some watches that was previously they launched. Instead, he showed me a lot of bling watches that they also outsourced to other factories. And I was like, how about you release the ones that you were in the cabinet? He was like, oh, this is a mechanical watch. Yeah. And I start working on the concepts, and our designers and myself, and we came up with 5 new watches based on the mechanical watches, and we took a lot of photos on those machines that they fix in order to make these watches. And then eventually that tells the story of the design. One of the designs that's still my favorite, which the 1 to 12 numbers were the Chinese hand signs, because we say 6 is like that. So it's actually little hands on the watch face. So all of those represent a little bit of a Shanghai story.
So you had a project, Re-Up, and you built and designed a concept in Beijing's famous Hutong area. Can you tell us a little bit about Re-Up and what you had aspired to do in that project?
I was asked to do Beijing Design Week, the first time when they had to launch, coincide with London Design Week at Claridge's. So I did a whole sort of a little clip of Beijing story and design story. And then that's when I came across the part of histories that I have been researching, the history during the early 1900s. Like, that was the time of change.
That was the New Republic.
Yes. Yeah, and that was the end of dynasty, right? I was really interested in during that time because it was the chaos of when people really inquiring new systems, new ways of living, and new style. It's also when women had this new way of looking at themselves. In Bada Hutong, during that time, you have a lot of foreigners came in. The women start finding new ways of making money rather than not just selling their body, but also asking their clients to bring in soaps, beauty products, cosmetics, to start selling making a business of themselves. And during that time, I also find Beijing Nübao, the first women newspaper, was born on Yangmeizhu Xiejie, on that area. Wow. So after I did a series to tell a women's story, I even designed nipple tassels, and that tells you stories. And then afterwards, I found this building that has a huge facade saying Beijing Jibianchang. It's the electrical relay machine, like a relay device. And this is the Art Deco building facade. But inside is completely in shambles, was completely destroyed. And the government was I was heard that, oh, we're taking it down. And I was like, what, really? And so I was like, hold on a second. So you have a device that prevents short circuit. And I want to tell a story of a consideration of where you are at, how do you practice in all professions. So I sold my London flat. I had a flat in Notting Hill. I work with great architects. I work with wonderful people to help me realize the project. And we end up having a cafe called Spoonful of Sugar. Well, another name helps the medicine go down, so it's called SOS. Also means, like, you know, saving. And upstairs we have an aquaponic farm. Okay. So it's a lot of herbs and stuff.
So let's go to more sort of up to date now, where you are today as co-chair CEO of the China International Beauty Expo. A few questions for you on this. Number one is, how exactly do you define beauty? And what are some of the things that you're doing today to promote this industry and the trends that you're seeing?
Beauty to me is never really just about aesthetics. To me, it's more like a matter of taste. It's very personal, and it's beyond aesthetics. It's something that relatable to people's conscience and ideas of life. The idea of wellness and beauty, it has always been a very integrated part of Chinese lives. Actually, we do have the youngest and the largest audience, consumer audience for anti-aging and wellness product in the world. There is this Chinese word called Kang Chu Shuai. Kang means anti, Chu means the beginning, the early stage of Shuai means aging. Okay. So meaning that the anti-early stage of aging is something that widely known and accepted in the young age, from the age of 16 onwards. It's a gentle notion of balancing constantly rather than an compensative approach to everyday life, to your body. China International Beauty Expo is the largest beauty and wellness platform in Asia. For exhibition space, we have about 1 million square meter space throughout the year. 7 shows: Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen. My mother was a TCM doctor, and she started the platform in 1989 when Canton Fair started. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's how early she was. So she's kindly being regarded as the godmother of exhibition and also beauty industry in China. I think after working in China and trying to find ways to get to know my country and my family better, and my mother was like, oh, there is this project from presidency that is just wonderful project. It's called CIIE. It's the Import Expo, and there's this really beautiful building. You should go and look. She said, it's exciting. It's like a clove shape. And then she said, but I've been asked to do a show there, and it's almost definitely happening. And I don't have anyone in Shanghai. Okay. So this is 6 years running for the Shanghai show.
I guess I want to wrap up then with a final question, and it's a plug for your latest project, a documentary film made during COVID. I think it's called Feichang, right? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that project, what it represents?
It happens on my Chinese New Year in 2020 when I was at my mother's house. And then the COVID happened. I was told that all our shows were cancelled. That was estimated about $50 million lost for this first 6 months. And it's not just the money lost, but also people start losing jobs. So the journey begins with, I have to go on this journey to experience 3 pandemics. In Shanghai, in Bangkok, in Melbourne. And I've spoken to world champion female boxers, designers, e-commerce, business owners, chefs, all the people that are affected by, at the time called Chinese virus. Basically, it was empty Shanghai. I left the empty Shanghai to busy Bangkok. Nobody was wearing masks. And then I left when Bangkok was in panic. Everyone was wearing masks. Got to Australia, everything was like Fashion Week. Nobody cares. Formula One, and then Tom Hanks got it. And then I was doing the speech. The makeup artist said, "Oh, I just did Tom Hanks and his wife's makeup yesterday." No. And then I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "All right." And I was with the GQ's editor, with Grant and everyone. I was like, okay, I was telling people about my filming already because I was started filming. And then as soon as I finished, they were like, "Oh, Formula One canceled, the rest of the fashion festival canceled. I think we might go home." So I documented and speaking to all of these entrepreneurs that people own their gyms, how they close their gym, open their gym, how they experience separating with their partners, how fashion designers reconsider designing fashion, how chefs reconsidering cooking, all of this, and how e-commerce was booming, but at the same time, what is next? You know, so all of these are questions that I had along the way. And instead of doing trade shows, I just start filming. And the name, Fei Chang, I call this documentary Fei Chang, period. The period sign of a solid dot for Western culture is I finished the statement, period. That's it. But the Chinese circle, it has the space to restart the conversation again because it's empty. It's almost like I've done my saying. Now I'm empty out my feelings. And then also a circle, it's signifying everything comes around in full circles. What you see today is right. Tomorrow in different time, it may not be right anymore. So the law of change is you change your pragmatic approach to solve problems cannot be the same. And your opinions can change. It's not you, it's the world.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's we can't wait to see the film, and it's something that I think not only captures the current events of that time, but like you said, a much more philosophical concept that again links to your heritage and the Chinese culture. Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Lin Lin. Yeah.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you everyone for joining us for this wonderful conversation with Lin Lin today as part of our In Conversations with series. And don't forget to like us on our YouTube channel and subscribe to RADII China.